Hey guys, welcome to the top percentile. My name is Anay Dave and I scored a percentile of 99.99 in CT 2020. Also scored a 19.86 percentile in CAT 2020, and that is what the video is about today. This is the third video in the part in the series on CAT on our channel. So if you've not watched the first two videos, I encourage you to watch those. The first video is about what my story was to score a 99.86, why I took it, why what calls I got, how the entire process was. The second video is more about the sectional strategy that I had, how I prepared for sections, and how I took each and every section on the last day. The third video is this one about mock analysis. The fourth video, which will come out, is your questions. We already have a list of questions that you've sent to us, so I'll be answering all of those in the next question in the next video after this. So to start off with the mock analysis, the mock, what you should be doing during mocks. The idea is that when you take a mock, you're kind of trying to see what your weakness is. You're trying to find out which areas you should improve. What are things that you should work on before the next mock? It's not mechanically taking a mock after mock after mock. There has to be some intent when you take the mock. That's the best way to do this is to keep a track of the mocks you've taken, see what is going wrong, how many you could have got right, and create a plan for how you should be taking the next mock. So I used to always keep paper ready. I used to always keep this small piece of paper with what my plan for the mock was. I did this on the last day of the exam as well. I did it for CET as well. So I'll actually share the photo of what I did in CAT. I'll send it on the Telegram group. If you've not joined us yet, you'll find the link in the description. Likewise, the mock Excel sheet that I'll be sharing, it'll be there on our Telegram group. So just click on the link, you'll be on the Telegram group. I'll share the link across. So you'll find everything over there. Whatever I'm sharing right now, you'll find a copy of it there. The main idea, as I explained, the reason why you do mock analysis is so that you know what is going wrong and how to improve it before the next mock. What happens over here is that it's like a positive feedback loop. You're taking a mock, seeing what went wrong, changing your preparation, taking another mock. Now, when it comes to CAT, every mock is extremely different. Every mock that you take is going to be very different from the previous one, but there'll be a thread that aligns all of it. And as I explained in the sectional video, it's about taking what you know. It's about selecting questions that you know and how you select those. Now, I have already explained this, but around the 5th of November, and today is the 8th of November when I'm recording this. So around the 5th of November was when I kind of changed my entire strategy. So it's not too late when you guys are seeing this video right now. It's not too late to change what you're doing and to inculcate all of this. I started keeping a different track of my mocks. I started analyzing them in a different way. I went back to a lot of the mocks and went through them. My score went from 80 to a 130. That's more than a 50% increase in my marks. That was just in a week. So one thing that you need to do is inculcate this, whatever I'm going to talk about in this video, as much as possible. But you need to make sure that you are practicing and putting in the effort. If you don't put in the effort, it's not going to be the end result. You need to keep that in mind. If you want the end result, you need to put in the effort. So just to show you guys how the Excel sheets look and how things are, I'll be explaining a lot more about why I did what I did and how things were with the Excel sheet. But just to start off, I'll just start off with this Excel sheet. If you guys have seen the videos for CET, you know that I've made a similar one for CET as well. But this one was the one for CAT. So I started off on the 20th of September. There were 62 days that I had until the CAT exam. During that time, just give me a second. Yeah, so there were 68 days that I had during CAT, 62 days, sorry, 62 days that I had from that day. And this was the mock score that I had. Now, just an overview of it, it was date, days left. It's just a simple calculation that you need to put into the Excel. You guys will need to start from somewhere around here. Now, I think there are 20 days left. So just try to keep, this is not as important now, but just the last 20 days that you have, make sure that you still have a plan for when you're going to do what, which day is going to be a mock, which day is not going to be a mock. Like the days without this was something that I already put that I'll be taking a mock. Like I already put in the colors. I just put in the marks after I took the mock. So this is one thing that I really encourage you guys to do. Plan out the next 20 days as to which days you're taking mocks, which days you are not. If you want to know how many mocks I've taken in the last 20 days, I'll just count that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've taken 11 mocks in the last 20 days. And these are my scores. I'll share this sheet with you guys. I started off with 111. So look at the percentages rather, 50%, 62%, 54, 39%. It's around 50% plus on average. And if you see before that, all the scores were much lower. They're 30%, 40% constantly over there. And that's what I mean over here. I got that entire change, which I've explained in the second video. So if you've not watched it, please go and watch that video. It is something that will really help you out. It is something that boosted my sectional scores a lot. And with a higher sectional score, I got a much higher score overall as well. Another thing that I really encourage you guys to do is this side of it, where I'm keeping a track, where I kept a track of every mock that I have and how many mocks are left from each and every provider. Now, as you guys know, I'd only taken IMS. I did not buy any other mocks. So these are the only mocks I took, the proctored and unproctored of IMS. 6 to 17 and 18 to 25, those are the ones that were there. So how many mocks that is? I think I've taken around, let me just check. There were 23 mocks that I've taken in those days. There's another Excel sheet for that. I'll share that as well with you guys. But the idea of this was to just keep a track of what all I have so that I know how to plan it. Using this data, I was making the plan on the left. Like, for example, if there were many that were white, for example, I left this here, right? So if there were many whites, I would put the whites in these days to make sure that it fits right into it. So it's just planning, and this helped me organize the plan. So I've taken all the proctored and unproctored tests of IMS. I've taken the sectionals that they had, all of them across the 3 sections that are there in CAT. And I've taken previous CAT mocks, that the previous CAT papers. I think previous CAT papers really help you understand where you stand. Even though the paper that you will have is not the same as the paper that you took at that time, it's going to be completely different. But at the same time, it gives you a good understanding of what the difficulty is like. And you don't have to go, it doesn't matter what you score. All that matters is the feel that you get while doing it. Now, as you guys know, earlier the papers were 3 hours long, then they made it 2 hours long. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. And this last part was just a counter of how many are left, etc. The idea was to make it 0. It was a manual counter. I did not put any code into it. But the rest of it, as much as possible, I was putting Excel formulas. You need formulas when you do an MBA. You want to make it as easy as possible. This was what I was doing before I started an MBA. So for that, it's a good effort. But that was the idea. These 16, 17, these blocks, they are the proctored exams. They had to be taken in the window. That's why I kept like this. So the window for the 14th exam, for example, the 14th proctored test was from the 23rd of October to the 26th of October. That's how I'd shown the entire thing. Trust me, guys, it's not too late to do this. If you inculcate what I'm saying, take a 2 days gap, inculcate everything I'm telling you in this video, it'll be fine. By the 10th, 11th of November, if you're able to do this, you still have 3 weeks to till the target to actually put in all your efforts and to align it all into the goal. Even if you're watching this a week before, I think it's enough time to realign everything, but just make sure that you do it as soon as possible. So please watch this video and share it, and just, make sure that you inculcate it. Doesn't matter, nothing else matters. Make sure that you inculcate everything that is there in this. If you're a serious aspirant, trust me, this is what you have to do. So it's a very simple Excel. This is not much data here. The more important Excel is the other one, so I'll just share that. That was with my mock scores and proper scores that I've got. So yeah, this is that. Now I'll just go through this a little bit. It's pretty much similar to the CET1 Excel. There are a few differences. I've taken only I've taken only IMS mocks, so you won't see any provider here like there was in the CET1. This was just data about when I took it, what number, etc. You just have to enter this data. I'll be sharing this I'll be sharing both the template and my mock scores on the Telegram group. So please check over there for whatever you want. Now, the important part starts here. Firstly, this is really important, the serial number part. Why is this important? Not for the numbers. It's important for the colors. The blue marked were the ones that I actually went back and revised. And in CAT, what is important is you revise the old mocks very thoroughly. If you're able to revise 10 mocks, you have covered a lot of the portion that you wouldn't have otherwise. When I say revise, I'm not just saying look at the questions and see if you know it or not. I'm saying solve it again, look at the solution given, and actually learn the method they've given. Find out if there's a better way to do it. You need to spend time on this. It's not like you just learn new methods. You have to actually spend time writing down and learning what is given in that. So for example, IMS had in the proctored, they used to have videos. I used to watch those videos. They used to have excellent strategies over there. They used to have 2 methods usually. One is a short method, one is a fast method. I already explained all of this about IMS in the first video. Please watch that video if you haven't. And the blogs to use, Scrabbler's blog, CAT 100 percentile. That was immensely helpful in my CAT prep. So please look at that again. I repeat this because it's important, not for any other reason. But video solutions help a lot, and those were extremely useful for me. So make sure that you use those. When it comes to revising a mock, I really mean solving each and every question, or at least visualizing how you'd solve it. Visualizing from the start to the end how you're going to solve a particular thing. That would help you a lot, because you'll actually be able to figure out whether you know how to solve it or not. If you're able to do it for 10 mocks. So as I explained, the 5th November week was very important for me. the week from 30th October to 5th November. That week was extremely important for me because I finished revising all of these in that week. Once I was done with that, look at how my marks improved. I was at a 90. So my average scores over here were just give me a second, it's blocking my view, was 85.5, sorry, 85.2 in this area. But after that, immediately after that, from an 85, I went on to a average of 120. So it's a 35 mark and 35 mark increase in just a span of a week. And that was because I did what I said in the second video. So please go through that. When it comes to mock analysis, this part was the most important, going through each and every mock and actually revising all of it again. This includes the data, this includes the DLR sets, which are extremely difficult. So again, splitting this into 3 parts. When it comes to VARC, I do not expect you to read the entire RC again, but I do expect you to read, in fact, even after you finish a mock, I expect you to read the question again and think why you got it wrong, why you got it right. And if possible, write down a summary of each and every paragraph at the end of it. Again, I've said this in the second video, but just write down a paragraph of summary after each and every paragraph. Write a summary, write a single line summary after each and every paragraph so that you can build onto it and understand what it was and come back to that paragraph later. Because a lot of the times most of the times the questions are about the general idea, not about any specific sentence. It's about the general idea that the author is trying to convey. So you have to think very broadly, not in depth. So that was how you look at VARC. When it comes to DLR, I used to solve, when it comes to VARC, another thing was the parajumbles. I would try solving the parajumbles again, but rather than that, I would be looking at the solution and trying to understand why I went wrong or what exactly happened there. And whatever other types also, if there are other types that used to come, I have forgotten what the paper used to be like exactly. But in everything, I would go through it and I would go through the paper and see whether I could get it right currently or not. Because if I've made progress, I should be getting it right. When it comes to DILR, I used to solve each and every set again, or I used to at least think whether I'm able to get the answer or not with the formulas. At least if I'm able to get the formulas, I knew that my calculations would be correct and I'd get the answer right. But I would try to at least make sure that I know the formulas and that, I'm able to see the problem, right? Jot down a quick solution about how I'll be thinking of it, then going ahead with it. When it comes to quants, I used to solve each and every question. There is no secret to this. I used to solve each and every question. I wasn't good in quants. That's why I've scored the lowest out of all 3 over here. So if you just to highlight it again, I scored a 99.86 in CAT, 99.12 in VARC, 99.97 in DLR, and a 97 percentile in quant. So 97 percentile obviously is not bad, but compared to the other 3, it was much lower. So again, I just want to highlight this again. Average of around 30 increased to an average of 38. 39, that's almost 40. That's a 10 mark increase that you have. Average of 28 taken to an average of 42, 28 to a 42, and an average of 27 to 39. So there's a huge difference in the marks. You can see the jump happening in each and every section. This is only happening because I strategized better. I made sure I was doing each and everything as efficiently as possible, as I explained in the sectional video. So please watch that video. This is more about the Excel sheet that I made, not about the exact strategy in each and every one. So when it came to the mock analysis that I was doing, I used to write down the number of questions, the number of attempts, the percentage attempts would be something that was calculated. So if you look at this part, you can see all of it calculated. Percentage correct, all of this was something that was automatically calculated. I only used to enter this much of data. I used to only attempt, I only attempted this much of data. Everything else used to be calculated from the other things. So this much and this data. Everything else I would be calculating, would be automatically calculated. Now again, why was I doing this? I wanted to keep a track of how my attempts are increasing. The reason I have a questions tab here is because they were varying the number of questions. We did not know how many questions would come in the CAT paper. So IMS also was varying the number of questions every mock. As you can see, it's gone to 60, it's gone to, I think, a 78 also somewhere. It's gone to 76, maximum was 76. So from a 60 to a 76, that was the range that they were asking each and every time. And you wouldn't know how many it was until you opened the paper. So that's how it was in the final paper as well. I was in the second slot, so I got lucky knowing that there was no change in the paper. But I was trying to see how much I was attempting as well. So if you see again, I'm going to show you the averages. Again, this line is the 5th of November. It is the date where I changed my perspective to CAT. So my average attempts were 69%. I used to attempt around 69% of the paper. After that, I attempted 82% of the paper. So I went from 69% of the paper to 89% of the paper. But it's not only the number of attempts that matters, it's also the accuracy that matters. So let's look at the accuracy. Accuracy was 66% before I did that. And after I did that, my accuracy was 73%. Not as big a change, but since I was increasing the number of attempts as well, my overall score went up by 30 to 40%, by more than 50% rather, from 85 to 130, as I mentioned. So that change that was there happened exactly here, and that's why I've highlighted that point in my mock scores. That this was when that change happened, because I know I was studying a lot and I was revising everything before that. That was the plan that I had. Now coming to the other part of the sheet, this was more of a sectional analysis to see how the marks are progressing over time. Normal score that I've got. Again, there's negative marking in this, which is why the number of attempted and the accuracy is very important. You are looking to keep as high an accuracy as possible. So not marking fluke. So in fact, the 66% to 73% increase is very significant because it actually helped improve my score and reduce my negative score. It was a two-way thing, right? You get 4 marks for getting a wrong answer right. It is 3 marks per question, but you aren't losing 1 mark that you'd get it if it's wrong, the negative marking. So उसमें 4 mark बढ़ जाते. So that was one very big advantage that I got by increasing accuracy. So focus on accuracy. First, focus on accuracy, increasing accuracy in this, okay? And to increase attempts rather, you need to select questions better, which is explained in the second video again. So the second, so VARC again, I had the score and everything, the questions, the attempts, and how much am I attempting. Now VARC, most of the times I was attempting most of the paper. So earlier average was 87%. After that average was 98%. I would attempt most of it in VARC because I felt like if I'm reading it, if I'm able to read it in time, I should attempt it. And I also used to feel that it's probably better to just take a chance because I'm always going to be confused. There'll never be a chance where there'll never be a 100% accuracy feeling unless it's pretty easy and pretty obvious. So I used to rather prefer taking the chance and doing it. Now this is something that you have to decide on your own. As you can see, my accuracy improved a lot later, but for the most part, my accuracy was below 60%. This red mark is, I think, the 70% mark. So 73 is highlighted, but not a 63. So it's a 70% mark. But as you can see, a lot of it was red. Most of it was red. It went from a 57% to a 62% on average. Not a big gap, but again, the number of questions attempted went from an 87 to a 98%. So overall, my scores did improve. Then when looking at the DLR section, now what is this? This is just a graph I made to see whether my scores are improving or not. If you can see over here, this was a much more tangible increase. If you can see the initial scores versus the higher scores, I wanted to just make a graph, guys. Nothing else here. Likewise, here I made a graph, and this is the graph for DLR, and this is the graph for VARC. And yeah, just go back to DLR. It's just a graph I made. It's a spark line. You'll find it in the chart section in Excel. Now, when it comes to DLR, again, as I mentioned, I used to solve all of it. The thing that changed away was the selection of questions. To select questions better, make sure I attempted the easier sets first. So again, I will already explain how much my score changed. My accuracy, my attempts would have gone up much more. So I used to attempt 56% of the paper. Later I attempted 74% of the paper. That's where it made a big difference. And at the same time, accuracy would have been higher. So 77% accuracy. Maybe accuracy didn't change much, but let's just say 85%. So 77 to 85, but my attempts went up a lot because I selected questions much better. That's why it changed. Now, why did I know how to select questions better and everything? Because I was going back, seeing where it is low. Is my percentage attempt less? Is my percentage accuracy less? What is happening here, right? That's what I was trying to do in each and every section and trying to go back to my mock and understanding why it went wrong. Likewise, in the quant section, that is what I did. Now, let's just look at that again. 62% average attempted initially. Sorry, and at the end of it, 74% attempted. Accuracy of 69% and accuracy of 78%. So again, everywhere there's been a change in my average accuracy and average attempts. Only happening because I spent time going back to the mocks and spent time actually learning all of it. Now these are just average values, nothing to really see here. But the reason I'd kept the coloring again was to make it easier to understand if there has been changes. I was looking for, if you can see, there are more reds here less reds down, again, more reds here, less whites, less greens, more whites, more greens, less reds, more reds, and less reds here. I think in quant it's almost similar to if you actually had to count 3 whites and 5 whites, 6 whites. So there is a difference, but yeah, the number of mocks is also different, 10 and 13. So it's fine. So that was one thing that I was doing. Like, this would help me understand where visually, just understand what is going wrong where. And the last part in this Excel sheet would be this part, which is my potential score column. Now, as you see, I've done it only for the first few mocks. I did not do it later on because I didn't think it was necessary for it. But I used to write down how much more I could have scored at the end of the mock. So let's say I've taken the mock. First mock, I scored 85 in my first mock. But if after the mock, when I'm revising each and every question, going through the mock, when I'm solving the questions again, if I think that I can get the answer right, which as I've shown here, I was getting a 145 score. There's a 171% increase. And this was mainly because I did not select questions right, or because I made some silly mistakes, I marked the answer wrong, or just something very stupid like that. So this is why I kept a potential score that I had, that I can reach the score. And as you can see, this was a much higher score. This is what told me that I can get into the top percentiles of CAT as well, and I can do much better here. Because this kind of just, it was a slap in my face that if I'm getting in this once, let's see this one actually, 161 and a 230% increase, my score would be what, 70s, something in 70s or 60s. So the score was, yeah, I scored a 70. I scored a 70 and my potential score was a 161, a 230% increase. That means the questions are easy. I messed up. So why should that happen? This column has to be as low as possible because you need to make sure that you are attempting all the right questions that you should know you need to attempt. That is the biggest advice I can give. If you are taking a set, if you're picking up a set, make sure it is the one that you know the best. I've spoken to a lot of people whose CAT papers have gone bad on the last day and after having excellent mock scores. The one thing that makes a difference is the last day's mentality about how they select questions and how confident they are. If you're going with the mindset of selecting the easy questions, select the easy questions and solve it on the last day. Do not keep changing your strategy from time to time. But if you are watching this around a week before the final exam, please spend a day or two, even if it's more than a week, spend a day or two, just analyze your old mocks and see where you can improve it. That's the best thing I can suggest. So to sum it all up, to just wrap up this entire video on it, first make something like a plan, make a proper plan over the last 20 days or how many other days are left when you're watching this. Make a proper plan of how many mocks you're going to take, which mocks are going to be, so that you don't need to think which paper you're going to take. Like, you don't want to wake up one day and think, should I take the 17th mock, should I take the 15th mock, what should I do? Just keep the plan ready, go ahead and just mechanically take the mock. Once you're done taking the mock, analyze it thoroughly, literally solve each and every question and see how many you could have got right, how many more you could have got right, what happens to it, what your potential score is. Go back to that. First thing, make a plan. Second thing, revise all your old mocks. See where you are going wrong, how you can improve, what things you need to improve. And when you made this mock analysis sheet, question yourself, do I improve my accuracy? Do I improve my question attempted? Within these two, you need to think, am I not able to attempt more because my speed is slow? Am I not able to attempt more because I'm not able to select questions better? Am I not getting a high enough accuracy because I don't know anything? Am I not getting a high enough accuracy because I don't know, or because I'm making silly mistakes? Bucket them into these 4-5 groups. You'll be able to understand a lot more about where you need to work over the next few days. Feel free to reach out to me on Telegram. I'll try helping, but this is best done by yourself because it is something that you have to understand and do yourself. You need to understand that, yes, this is how it works. This is how this exam is, but that calculation is the most important. So make a potential score, write down your accuracy, write down the number of questions that you've been solving, write down all of that, keep a track of those questions, and just make sure that you are attempting 100% of the questions that you know how to solve. You should not feel after the paper that there was an easy set that you missed out because you did not know how to select it. That should not happen. Attempt 100% of the questions you know how to solve, you'll have a good CAT paper. I'd like to sum up with that. That's the best way I can end this. But yeah, I'll be sharing the videos. I'll be sharing the Excel sheets with you guys. You'll find the link in the description, so please click on it. I'll try sharing it. I want to share it with as many people as possible. So please Go ahead and download it, use it, let us know how it helps. We'll give us feedback on the Excel sheet. You can drop us questions anytime. The link is always there in the description for that as well. If any questions you have on CAT-REP, please send it in. So I know I need to make more videos. We've got a couple, I've got like around 20 questions, I think. Also good enough to make a video, but if you have more questions, please drop them in so I know I need to answer them, right? You can also leave comments on the video with questions. I do respond to all of them. So please do that. And I hope your prep is going well. Please don't give up in the last few weeks. I'm here to help you guys. Please reach out and ask what you need. I hope this video has been helpful to you. All the best and thank you. See you the next time.